Hello and welcome to a 1v1 game between VortiX and Bee. Here we have VortiX spawning in on the left side of the map with the color blue playing as the French, and on the other side it is Bee playing as the Malians in orange. The map that we're playing on is Standard Tri-Arabia, and it looks like we have one of the more safe spawns for the players, I guess. Gold mines at the back for both these players. Little exposed for VortiX, which is not nice. But in general, gold mine at the back for a French player is always a blessing. Now, one thing that's a little different with the map layouts of VortiX and Bee here is that for VortiX, it's a little difficult to wall off his near or immediate flank, whereas for Bee, it's actually very easy to wall his base. It's easy to wall on this side. Other side, it's a little trickier, but I guess this is something that just makes so much sense. Wall here. Or just use this forest, whichever, but you're going to be up against French Knights, so you do want to contain them to a certain extent, especially when you're facing a player with a really good micro like VortiX. On the other side for VortiX, walling is not that much of a priority. He is likely going to face little early aggression from his opponent. It's going to be more about making sure that he weathers the storm of that Dunso plus Javelin Thrower combination that is so oppressive in the hands of the Malians. I always forget to switch this into Workers mode, apologies for that, although what we are seeing over here is a very standard opening 8-3 for VortiX, and nothing special on the other side either, so you probably didn't miss much, but I'm always trying to get this up for you because I know many people have requested to put out the worker counts there, but I keep forgetting it, so apologies for it. Anyway, looking at the sheep hole, seems fairly even, which is alright-ish for VortiX, of course. He is the one that's more reliant on the sheep, although he does have a very safe pack of deer back at home. So when he runs out of sheep, this is the natural position to move to for food. For me, he's likely going to play into cattle anyways, so for him, having a lot of sheep to work with is not a priority. Now, he's aging up with the Monza Quarry, but what's more interesting is that he's doing so with 8 Vills. So this is a very expedited Feudal Age here. B, getting some nice shots on that scout from VortiX, but VortiX gets away in time. So 8 villagers on the landmark is a massive rush, and you are missing out on a lot of resource income when you use this many villagers to build a landmark. Part of the reason why you can justify this for the Monza Quarry is because the Monza Quarry gives you a resource trickle. So the sooner you get it up, the sooner it starts trickling you resources. So some of this lost resource concept that you have here is offset by the Monza Quarry, and it's something that kind of justifies using more workers on it than, let's say, using a lot of workers on a school of cavalry, which will not generate you resources. Just a little interesting side note here. VortiX opted to go for a mill on the berries. He's doing so because he wants to grab wheelbarrow, but he could have definitely went for the deer pack over here as well. Interesting choice, not really anything significant. Of course, French mills are very cheap, so it's not like this is a big issue. Just a little surprising to me. I could have imagined a mill here as well. Feudal Age in for B. It's very heavy on wood. And it's going to be a barracks opening. Now, I don't expect him to try and be aggressive with Dunsos and push this gold mine to try and force his opponent away from it. This is probably just going to be more about playing defensive and making sure that VortiX's knights cannot really get some freebie villager picks. First knight on the way here for VortiX. He has a pretty good idea of the base layout from B. In fact, I kind of retract that statement. He actually has a pretty underwhelming level of scouting on the enemy base. He knows about the enemy TC spot. He actually ran into the TC with the scout. He knows about the berries as well. Probably knows that this is the wood line that his opponent is taking, but he does not know the exact location of the gold mine. Now, against any other civilizations, that would be a little problematic because a gold mine is a prime spot to raid with cavalry. But not against the Malians, because Malians won't have any villagers nearby, at least not in early Feudal Age. Some walls are coming up for B, love this. You want to contain the movement of these knights, because otherwise they will just run circles around you, and eventually they will get a villager pick. So these walls make it a little bit more difficult for VortiX to harass these gold miners. And I could see Bee playing super tight, getting some walls up over here, so that if the knights want to run into the gold or the wood, they would just have to run past the DC and they would eat a lot of damage. No surprise here from VortiX, he is adding a range, but he stopped making knights. I think this is just a lack of food issue for him. He is moving towards the second town center, but it looks like he won't be playing very heavily into knights over here. He's got 2 of them on the field. He's going to get some archers going to deal with the Donsos, but he is going to play into 2 town centers here. That's kind of the primary game plan for him. Notably, VortiX is still pretty heavy on gold, so he's either going to eventually continue adding knights, or this is going to be a somewhat semi-fast castle-ish approach. When you keep 5 villagers on gold in Feudal, you definitely are going to do something that's gold-heavy. Whether that's grabbing a bunch of gold-heavy technologies, whether that's producing knights, or just going into Castle Age, you will be keeping villagers on gold. But when you have 5, you definitely will be using a lot of gold, and it looks like VortiX is just going to go crazy on the eco. Survival techniques, specialized pick coming in. He is going for a second TC, but no additional knights coming in for the time being. Yeah, you see, he's keeping all these villagers on gold because he just wants to grab all the eco upgrades. Now, looking at B over here, he started to add cattle, and he's getting the cattle ranches going, something that's extremely difficult to raid with knights. So, part of the reason why VortiX is probably not going heavy on the knights is because raiding Malians is extremely difficult. This gold mine is a good target, but if the Donsos are nearby, you can't really do anything at that position either. Lovely walls, make sure that you have a lot of safe space to work with. I'm a little careless from B moving out here with a villager and only 1 Donso escorting. VortiX needs to be careful with the scout, pulls it back. Nice little micro there. Donso's actually chasing away the archers over here that were pressuring these berries. Aggressive second town center from VortiX. He knows fully well that his opponent is playing very defensive. That's usually how Malians approach a game like this in early and mid-feudal. So VortiX needs to leverage all this map control, and he does so. It would have been intriguing to get this boar. I actually wonder if he wants to lure this boar in. If he does, this is a prime town center spot. VortiX is floating a lot of gold here. I still have the feeling that he wants to rush Castle Age, which is something that you probably want to do against the Malians for a variety of reasons. One of those reasons could be grabbing relics, so that you have as much of a resource income in early mid Castle Age as possible. That's usually where the Malians have their strongest power spike, this early mid Castle Age period. So if you beat them to Castle and you can pick up most of the relics, you will have a great resource income as well. So you can you have your best chances of matching up with that Malian flood through that extra resource income. I'm not sure if that's on its own enough, but that's probably how you beat Malians. You need to essentially withstand that flood in early mid Castle Age. So if you beat them to Castle, pick up the relics, that's going to help you a lot accomplishing that. For the time being, still a lot of gold income for VortiX. He does have a blacksmith, hasn't gotten a lot of techs. He's grabbing tech stalls as well, which is a somewhat intriguing call given how little aggression B has shown. I feel like going for tech stalls over here is actually more about making sure that he isn't going to lose any villagers, and because he had more gold than what he needed. He is not making any more knights, or he didn't make any more knights up until this point. This is only the 3rd knight he made. But I guess he had a lot of gold, and he was like, okay, I can actually grab tech stalls, especially because some of these villagers have been hit by the boar. A lot of Donsos on the field for B. He's starting to escalate his army, and you see he is working his way towards Castle Age. He's a little low on gold, but he should be up to Castle Age, probably ahead of VortiX over here. VortiX himself has 700 food per minute, so it takes about a minute and a half to collect all the food for Castle. But I'm not sure if he's going to do that now. He's actually going very heavy on knights. He's got a stable and the School of Cavalry both producing knights. Interesting call, because he's doing so against an army that already has a lot of Dansos. Now, one thing that B does not have is a lot of mobility. But in a direct battle, I don't see VortiX being able to beat this army. 2 Javelin Throwers are just enough to pick off most of these archers. For VortiX, he would need to kill these Javelin Throwers first before engaging this army. Grand Flanicoral on the way for B. And for VortiX, he is still nowhere close to Castle. It's getting worrisome for him because, this is a prime target now for B. I don't think he can take this on with this current army, but in the next few minutes, he's going to escalate his numbers very quickly. And once he's got like 30 Dansos, 30 Javelin Throwers, this town center is gone. I actually wonder if B knows about it, though. He sees the stone, so he knows about the existence of a second town center. I'm just unsure if he knows about the exact location. Micro back and forth here. Nice micro by B. Does a lot of damage. Kills 2 knights as well. 2 Javelin Throwers still alive at the back line, picking off those archers. Many Dansos got picked apart by the archers, though, so at the end of the day, VortiX will have enough to clean this first wave up. Good enough, at least for the time being. We'll have to see if this is good enough to actually win the game for him, though, because now he's going to face a lot of Sofas coming in from the other side. Sofas, of course, getting a lot of power in early Castle Age with imported armor. VortiX himself getting close to Castle Age, though, and he is the one with the superior army for the time being. Nice little body blocks by B, trying to save that one Javelin Thrower. So Castle Age will be on the way for VortiX. He does have 6 knights, so Royal Institute is an option. But Guildhall is the landmark I think he's going to play with. Again, kind of playing into the concept of those extra resources. Indeed, Guildhall is on the way for VortiX. Starts to take this hunt here. I love the touch that he actually went for the more exposed hunt first, and he didn't touch this safe resource deposit. This is the window where Malians are the strongest, so this is where you want to take your safest resources and not risk losing villagers. Double racks. I think we're going to see men-at-arms here, folks. Now, men-at-arms will struggle against the Sofas, but Sofas aren't particularly good against men-at-arms either. And everything else that B has are hard countered by men-at-arms. Could be spears as well against the Sofas, but VortiX has not seen the Sofas just yet. He might have caught a glimpse of these stables, but I think it's gotta be men-at-arms. If he wanted spears, he would be training them by now. He would be grabbing the upgrade as well. Now he's doing that, though. Alright. He's got to go veterancy on the Knight Archers. And he is decking into Spears here. So, this might just be I guess a blind pre-counter by him. Sofas are definitely something that the Malians like to play into, so he might just be expecting Sofas straight up. But I honestly thought he was going to play Men-at-Arms against the Javelin Throwers and the Dansos. Men-at-Arms on their own are not good enough to beat this entire army, but I actually feel like they are a very formidable backbone to your army with the French. A couple of Men-at-Arms to soak up the damage, kind of act as a tank on the front line, clean up some Dansos before you engage with the Knights. Now he sees the Sofas. Knights are shown as well to B, because let's not forget, on the other side, I don't think B knows about the barracks just yet, but he should see the Spearmen very soon. And the fact that they have the hardened upgrade is a clear indication that VortiX is going to play heavily into Spears to counter the Sofas. So what do you do against this if you're B? You probably either try to play into mobility with the Sofas, which is something he's trying to do right now. He won't really be successful because VortiX already has some wars going. So he's either playing into mobility and just heavy Sofas, or he could pivot into archers with poison arrows, which are devastating against everything that VortiX has. For now, B is just running circles around his enemy, but VortiX has a very nice and safe base over here. At the same time, B is also allowed to expand. He's going to grab his third pit mine. Actually has a second layer of walls. I think he's just concerned about this overchop, but the villager just gave up or got killed. There's only one worker killed from VortiX, so I doubt that the villager here was killed. In fact, that worker kill was here, so I guess maybe a misclick from B. I'm not sure what happened here, but these walls are currently unfinished. And VortiX is going very heavy on stone. I think he wants a defensive keep. I think that's actually a very underrated way of playing against the Malians. I kind of touched on this numerous times in this game. This is the power spike of the Malians. So if you have a defensive keep, you have much better chances of surviving that deadly push in mid-castle edge. Now, I don't think B's army is good enough for that just yet. It's got a lot of sofas, quite some dansos, but javelin throwers are lacking. He's facing a lot of archers, and does he have imported armor? He does. Looks like he's moving out. VortiX does have enough stone for a keep. This is a prime spot as well. Knights are shifting away. That's a lot of villagers. B needs to be super cautious, and there's a scout accompanying this force. Looks like he just runs into the Dunsos. Archers taking a suboptimal engagement to the north. Knights weren't there to support, and the Dunsos and the Sofas together push all of these guys back. VortiX had his army split into multiple smaller groups, and that's part of the reason why he's getting punished very badly over here. Archer's now doing a decent job picking apart the Dunsos. Dunso number is down to just 8. But many of these knights are getting picked apart by the remnants of those Dunsos, and the javelin throwers are doing a good job focusing down the archers. A premature fight here for VortiX. He spent his stone on a keep here, so I guess he's taking this fight so that he can get the keep up, but this might just be too much of a loss here for him. Losing all these knights, losing all of his army here. And remember, this town center is completely undefended. Hard to say what VortiX could have done differently, but I really feel like some men-at-arms could have made... I'm not gonna say could have made an interesting difference, because I don't think that's the case, but I feel like a couple of men-at-arms would have been a very formidable front line that's just hard to kill with what B has. And that's what VortiX needed. Something that's hard to kill, something that absorbs the damage, at least partially, so the Knights and the Archers have more time to dish out punishment. There is the GG. VortiX just taps out of this one, knows that this town center is just going to be annihilated once those forces close in. And once again, Malians take a victory. One of the things I kind of dislike about current Malians in this game is that it's just very repetitive. It's the same story in every single game. Same unit composition, same build, essentially. And at the end of the day, they are just super powerful with this build. In particular against the French, because French want to play into their knights, and Malians just have so many good tools when it comes to dealing with those knights. But that's it for this game, folks. If you enjoyed this commentary, I greatly appreciate if you press the like button, if you subscribe to the channel. Those metrics help me greatly in improving the channel. If you have any other feedback, you're also welcome to share them down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to see you in the next cast.